but to continue the conversation on the Electoral Act amendment and questions around the transmission of results in real time is Arise Director of News and Politics, Editor, Sumner, Sambo. Good morning, Sumner, and thank you very much for joining us unusually on a Wednesday. But there is a major political issue on the table. I would like to, have your intake, about, what happened yesterday at the National Assembly. Was it a red herring, or the protesters have achieved their objective? And if they have, what follows after? I had raised questions earlier about funding, about capacity, and about commitment. But let's hear from you.
All right, Dr. Abati, there's need for eternal vigilance on this issue because what was achieved was more of like 50% of what the protesters have been asking, and other Nigerians, I mean, not just the protesters. From what the Senate has passed, it's more of like half measure. And then it actually calls to question the intention of senators as to what exactly they want with this specific amendment. Because you see, from what they have done, they've passed a whole lot of powers to presiding officers. And I don't think it's the intention of the Constitution or even past laws for presiding officers to be as powerful as to be taking discretionary positions when you should actually have laws in place. And INEC in previous ones were the one, INEC as an institution, the leadership of the body is one that had that discretionary power. So from what we have seen here, the presiding officers are being asked to decide to go with the electronic transmission or decide to go with the Form EC8A, which is the manual collation, in the event, quote, that there's a network issue. Now, who's the determinant of the network issue? And are we doing electronic voting? We're actually not doing electronic voting. What we are doing is the electronic transmission of election results. And that's why I want Nigerians to actually pay attention to the version passed by the House of Representatives, which, if you permit me, I will actually quote very clearly. And in that one that was passed by the House of Representatives, it says that the commission, that's INEC, shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to the IREF portal in real time. And each transmission shall be done simultaneously with the physical collation of results. And then it goes on in 65 of their amendment, saying that the presiding officer shall transmit the results, including the number of accredited voters, to the next level of collation. So these are specific instructions, very clear, not politically ambiguous, not based on discretion. And both committees of the Senate and the House agreed on this during all their retreats that they embarked on. And when the Senate eventually will go ahead and set up an ad hoc committee with all members of the political parties made up of the Senate right now, that ad hoc committee will then go ahead and stamp its approval on this same version of the House of Reps. And then suddenly, once this gets to the chamber at the Committee of the Whole, very swiftly, before the lawmakers could understand what was going on, especially those in the opposition, this was then taken back to what the 2022 Electoral Act says. And what does the current 2022 Electoral Act say? Now, in that 2022 Electoral Act, which is the one that the lawmakers are trying to change at the moment, Section 65 of that says, the presiding officer shall transfer the result, including the total number of accredited voters and the result of the ballot, in a manner as prescribed by the commission. So you will see that even when INEC had that discretionary power, saying that in a manner as is prescribed by the commission, there was still a challenge in 2023 election, when INEC as a body had that discretionary power. So why is the Senate now shifting the discretionary power from INEC to the presiding officer to decide whether there was network or no network? So these are some of the issues that Nigerians need to look. And then as the committees, both committees actually go into a conference, the Harmonization Committee, some Nigerians have called on the lawmakers to actually adopt the version passed by the House because it seems clear that that actually meets the yearnings of Nigerians, including the lawmakers, prior to what happened to the Senate. And so it will create less ambiguity, it will create more trust in the National Assembly, and the law will easily be acceptable so that we don't have a situation whereby the entire elections will be marred by all sorts of issues that may actually lead to a stalemate. And if that does happen, I mean, we could be heading back to June 12th.
Okay, thank you very much, Sumner Sambo.